So this section is about the ASFX systems. So for those of you that are already in the group, I probably will give you some nuggets here. And for those of you that aren't already in our group taking the courses and in the chat with us, try to follow along. I'm going to explain to you some of the language that we use to read a chart, and hopefully it'll give you some clarity. The first question, what criteria do you use when creating your watch list? So to give you again some of that ASFX language, I'm using our TDI, which is an indicator on the chart, specifically the liquid 50, to determine the trend that I'm looking to trade that day. Once I find the direction or find a liquid 50 that I like and it's very clean, either long or short, then I look to match up the EMAs, the exponential moving averages we talked about. I look to match that direction with the TDI. If those two things match up, then I have some pretty strong trend. Then I'm going to look to see, do we have space on average daily range? Meaning, on an average day, is there still space for this to move if this was to be an average day? So if it's already moved 60 pips, but ADR is 120, great, there's 60 pips left to move. That's how I'll create my watch list. And if you just ask yourself a couple of questions to your system, or if you're using ASFX, you use those 3 questions, you're going to narrow your list down instantly. Look for perfect liquid 50s, look for perfect EMAs. You're going to find like 3 of those a day, maybe. You know what I'm saying? So when you're being picky, you'll get a slim watch list. People see me all the time. They're like, how do you trade all those pairs? I'm like, I don't. I click through them, and as soon as I don't like it, I take it off, and I don't look at it the rest of the day. Another question this is from Jack. How do you determine profit target and stop levels? So this goes into the system specifically. The A1 entry that I've talked to you guys about has a specific stop loss that's built into the way we tested it. So we found a pattern, a confirmation on price, a confirmation on EMAs, and the TDI. So we're getting a lot of different data and confirming an entry, seeing a repeatable pattern. And we set a specific stop loss based on that pattern. Every time that pattern presents, if you put that stop loss there, more times than not, you're going to be profitable. So that's how we determine it. It's all built into the back testing. It's never just like a random thing of like, oh, here's an entry. I don't know where I'm going to put my stop. Let's look for the next structure point and put it there. It's too simple. Like, that's not how consistent trading is done. It needs to be more detailed than that. Can the ASFX system be used for other markets? Great question. Definitely. Jace, one of the coaches, he's trading it on indices and stocks. I know some of the guys using it in cryptocurrency. I know a lot of guys that just day trade stocks with the ASFX system. They don't even do Forex as much anymore. So I think because what we teach in these 3 signals, the A1, the D1, and the D2, because it's technical analysis, it can be applied to anything that you can draw a chart on. There's going to be nuances within the market, volatility, volume, gaps, things like that, a couple of little changes, but the technical signals themselves are going to be there. They're going to, anytime you can put a chart up, anything with candles, you can apply our system to. Commodities, gold, same thing, 100%. This is a good question. Simple. What risk reward do I recommend? So this goes back to your system and making sure that the system you're going to trade is tested and proven profitable. My system, the ASFX signals, for all of my entries, I always am looking for at least 2 to 1. That's because the systems that we tested came out to be about 70% win rate strategies, meaning we win 7, even if you lowball it, 6 out of 10 trades. But as long as I'm getting 2 to 1 on those 6 or 7 trades, we're going to be profitable in the long run. Now, some periods of time, go back to, you remember, February, March, April, when Corona first hit, we were winning so many trades that was when I was hitting EuroCAD like day after day after day. So the market will come, it'll make it rain for you sometimes, and then it dries up. So you just have to be ready to say, hey, if there's good risk reward, these are the setups that I'm going to take, because in the long run, some months I'm going to have 20 trades, some months I'm going to have 4. Over the long run, this system will be profitable if I'm getting that 2 to 1. So I think every system is different, but 2 to 1 is a good place to start. I don't know who would risk 1 to make 1, unless you're going to win all of those trades. And I'm not the kind of person that could risk 6 or like risk 1 to make 6 but lose a bunch of trades and then win 1 and make it all back. That's not the way that I like to do it either. So you got to find what works for you. But for me, high win rate, decent risk reward, it's where I found my sweet spot. So the next question is how to combine the ASFX systems with a 9-to-5 job. So first, you got to remember, I started trading when I was still working on the weekends as a DJ and doing sales for that DJ job during the week. So I would have to trade before I would go into the office to do the sales stuff or prep for the weekend event or whatever I had to do. So Forex is a great market for part-time traders. That's why I got into it. That's why I push it on so many people, because if you're looking to just start part-time, the hours are way better than the stock market. The stock market's going to close at 4:30 and not open until 9:30 or 4 o'clock, whatever it is. Of course, there's pre-market and after hours. You can definitely do that, but it doesn't move the same way as the regular market. That's the first thing. The second thing is, like with Forex, you'll start to fall into line with certain currency pairs, and you'll be able to actually read the trend, stick with that trend, and ride it for potentially multiple days, and that can be really beneficial to us. So not only do the hours play into it, but you're not worrying about gaps, you're trading trends, and I think that's a big thing too. So when you're part-time, get on the charts during the hours that you can get on the charts. Don't try to force everything in your life to bend around the charts. Give it the time that you can, and slowly you can work your way from part-time to trading bigger and bigger size after a couple of years. Notice how I don't say months, years, and then you can, if you want to, leave your job, get into other investments. What happens for a lot of people, at least that we've worked with, is they end up making money trading, and as their trading does better and they're trading more money, then what ends up happening is they start diversifying their investments, and they actually have some investments that are making them money too. So some people think that they want to quit their job and they're going to just trade full time, but by the time they get to that point, they have so many other investments that trading could be their full-time income, but they also have rental properties, or they also have stocks that are paying dividends, or whatever it may be. You know what I mean? So as you grow, your plan is definitely going to change. It did for us, but for 9-to-5ers, start with the hours that you can get on the chart, start to find patterns, start to find those trends. It's going to be much easier than trading stocks, in my opinion, especially if you can't be there during the stock market open hours. Does ASFX work on the higher time frames for swing trades? Yes. So again, going back to what I said, I think a couple questions ago, it's technical analysis. So you can apply it to any time frame, and you can use the same rules, especially in Forex, on the 1 hour that you would on the 15-minute. At least for our systems. It might not be that way for other people. I'm not going to speak on that. But for us, I know guys that only trade the 1 hour and the 4 hour using the A1, the D1, and the D2 entry. It's all fractal. So if you're using the 15 and the 1 minute, you can use the 4 hour and the 1 hour. Make sense? Can anyone become consistent in 4 months? Don't love this question, because it's tough. If you have some trading experience and then you come into ASFX and you are focused and you're working really hard, I do think you could become consistent in your first 4 months. Like those first 4 months, you might not give back any money. You might get sharp, and you might not be trading every day like you used to be, but you're winning more, trading less, losing less, right? So I would say that for sure. But if you're brand new and you've never traded Forex before, I wouldn't expect to come in your first year and do anything consistent. In the first year, you're going to, especially if you're not full-time, which most people aren't because they have another job, family and stuff, you're going to make mistakes. Your first year is your learning curve. Honestly, your first 3 years are your learning curve. If you can last 5 years, you'll probably make money in this business. That's just like the number that I like to go off of. So keep that in mind. The first couple of years, no matter what, even if I really sit with you and teach you the 3 systems that are making me money, it's still going to take you some time to get used to trading it and to trade it consistently well. So the last question about the ASFX systems is a good one. How do you maintain composure on a win streak? For me, the answer is the same whether I'm maintaining composure on a win streak, a losing streak, or a no trade streak. I think you have to stay consistent in your routine, which means sleeping well, eating well, taking care of your body, working out, right? But also doing for us, it's daily markups. Sorry, didn't mean to whack the microphone. It's doing daily markups, which is going over the day, seeing where the trade idea is presented, A1, D1, D2, and keeping markups, active data of photos of the trades that are presenting, whether you took them or not, all the ideas, A, B, and C. Doing that will keep you sharp, whether you're on a win streak and you're crushing it, or if you haven't traded in a while and you're just waiting for that next one good trade. So win streak, losing streak, no trade streak. To keep composure, it's find a routine that keeps you on point, that makes you operate efficiently, and stay on that routine. Don't get cocky. I've done it, everybody does it, but then you learn. So instead of getting cocky, just get focused and pay attention. What are you doing well? What are the best trades that you've had? What can you do to get bigger in those? What can you do to identify more opportunities like those? Those are good questions when you're trying to keep that win streak going. So now that we've gone through the ASFX questions, I think it's time to bring Riley in.